Hey everybody, I'm Jason and welcome back to From Tree to Lumber. So for the past 2 years I've been working out in the elements, which is usually fine with me, but there's just some days I need to get something done but just can't because of the weather. Working in the rain and hot sun just isn't my thing anymore. It's finally time to build a shelter for both me and my equipment. For the next few videos, I'm going to be taking some white oak logs that I've collected from the property and will be turning them into some beautiful square timbers for the front and back walls of the new sawmill building. To get the job done, I'm actually going to be trying out the new Blue Flex blades from Frontier, and I'm going to show you some modifications that I had to make to the OS18 to handle these long beams. My plan calls for two 20-foot white oak beams and 5 posts to support a single sloped shed roof. My current setup can only handle 12 feet, so I've made a makeshift rail extension out of 3/16 angle iron that will allow me to cut up to 22 feet long. I really don't think they're any kind of replacement for the reel tracks purchased from Frontier. They don't have any clamps and they really aren't that sturdy, but they'll be good enough to make a couple of beams. I really don't plan on doing this all that often. Now, just to be completely upfront with you, I don't actually have any formal plans for this building. I've got some sketches and I work out my calculations on paper, but really I'm just making this up as I go along with a pretty good idea of how things should be done. All right, you ready? Let's get to it. This is the first log that I've got chosen out for one of those beams. It's a beauty. It's something like 26, 28 feet long, and it's just pin straight, white oak. So what I'm going to do is decide on the best portion to cut out of it. I'd like to get rid of this butt end just to make leveling the thing a little bit easier. And I want to make sure that the cutoffs that I have are useful for something, okay? So I'm just gonna measure that out, decide where to take it out, probably leave it just a couple inches long, maybe 20 feet, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches. That way I can trim it exactly to size later. I can cut up to 22 feet on my little setup right now. And this is a nice size log to start with because it should be easier to handle than something, bigger. Can't wait, actually, I'm looking forward to this. Not sure how well you can see this, but this log has a kind of natural flat spot, which is kind of important because I really want to take this kind of flare at the butt end kind of out of the equation. So I'm going to take that flat spot, I'm just going to mark it right now, and I'm going to put that down flat on the bed for the first cut. I'm still going to have to shim the other end up, I think, just a little bit, but for right now, I think that's the best place to start. Okay, here's my plan for the cut. So I want to get a full 6 inch by 6 inch for this, and I shouldn't have any trouble at all. This log's plenty big for that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is the bottom, is in the same orientation as that. Just make sure I'm going to get my 6, so we'll probably take it across like here. Okay, the small end of the log here is 10 inches in diameter. The large end of the log is actually 12 inches. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to raise the small end up about an inch, okay? And that should center this, and then I'll go from there. So I'll worry about cutting these after I cut these. There's no stops or clamps on the extension portion, so I just have to add this 2x4 cleat to keep things solid. Okay, just before I make the actual cut, I just want to do kind of a dry pass, make sure everything still makes sense. I'll just check over here on my scale, make note of where that is, and then we'll scoot down to the other end, set it down to the same height, and see what it looks like on the butt end. Okay, we'll take her down to my mark on the scale, see where it's going to come out. Yeah, right about there.
which is perfect. Lots of room.
The more I look at it, I should be able to get some kind of a 1x off the top. Don't know how long, don't know how wide, but I should be able to get something. And since I don't cut 20 feet that long, you know, let's give it a shot, right? Not only that, I'd like to give the whole rig one just pass before I make a final cut, because I really don't know what's going to happen. Should be okay though. Gosh, that went really smoothly. So I'm just going to take my time. There's absolutely no hurry. Just want to get this thing cut today, and maybe I can work on setting the second one up, but I'm not sure yet. All right, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to try to take a 1-inch piece off. Don't care what the length is really, just to make sure that everything's lined up. Take some measurements, and then we'll do the real cut. Okay, so I really took my time and I set this thing up so that it's square all the way down its length. So I'm going to take her down. Perfect, they're all perfect. Well, there we have it. One 20-foot 6x6 white oak beam. Pretty much pin straight. God, it's almost clear with little knots. It's a beautiful piece of wood. So next thing we need to do is move on to the next beam, which is going to be just a little bit bigger. But I'm not going to do that today. We'll get to that tomorrow. So yesterday I did a 6x6. 20 feet long for my new sawmill shed, white oak. And today is hopefully going to be a 6 by at least 8, maybe 10, also white oak for the front with a 16-inch span. And this is the log that I'm hoping to use. It's been dead for a while, standing dead, but when I cut it, it was really solid. So it's not that bad. I took it out of the bush, I think last year, and it had bark at the time, but it all kind of shook off, right? So we're going to pull it out with the tractor right now, take a look, do a little assessment. It's got a bit of a crack here, but it's also quite a bit longer, I think. Yeah, then we'll go from there. So just before I load this thing onto the sawmill, I think I better take a quick look at it, because putting it on the sawmill is a bit of a procedure. Just make sure that it's appropriate for what I want it to do. So I need to put the small end towards the cutting head, so obviously that's why I flipped it around. But let's just do a couple of measurements and see what we got here. All right, small end of the log, 12 inches, 13 inches, usable at the top. So what I really need out of this log would be like a 6-inch wide by I don't know, as high as I can get, minimum 8. So 6 by 8, 6 by 10 would be better, 6 by 9, all good, anything in there. So what I need to do is just assess this, make sure I can get that out of it. The log is pin straight, which is nice. Well, let's just see how long it is, and maybe I can make up a little bit of size just by cutting it in. Okay. All right, so we've got pretty much exactly 18 inches on this end, which is perfect. OS18, 18-inch log. couple of deep cracks, but I don't think they go in all that far. I would say this is the worst one here. It's opened up, you know, half an inch. But I bet you if I take a foot off here, it closes up. It's still going to be a crack, but it's not going to be kind of insane. And there's also a 2-foot overhang on each side. I think I'm going to be able to live with it. This is the log I've had set aside for this, so I'd really like to go with it, and that's just the way it's going to have to be. We'll load this up on the sawmill, and I'll probably just leave it at 21 feet because I can cut 22 now, and I'll cut it and see kind of what it looks like, and we'll go from there. Man alive, so this is a big log. That's white oak. I'm gonna figure out what it weighs. I'm gonna go in for lunch. I'll figure out what it weighs for you. But it's on there, and like I've said before, I'm pretty sure I use this 18 at its outer limits. Now that being said, the rusty old tractor could barely handle it. So I'm pretty sure this is about as big a log as I ever really want to handle. It's going to get a lot more expensive for me. I'd have to buy, I don't know what, a bobcat or something. And, you know, I've been kind of thinking of a bigger mill, I'm not going to lie to you. But that's about as big as I can handle, and I don't think I'm going to do this very often. So, what a piece of wood. So most of the work in setting up a big piece like this, at least on a small rig, and for me, which I'm moderately unfamiliar with this kind of thing, most of the work is just setting the piece up so that it'll be good to go for cutting. Right, like I say, it's right at the maximum for this machine, so you know, I got to make sure it's in the right spot on the bed. What I've done is removed the blade from the cutting head. That way I can pass the whole saw, make sure there's not going to be any interference from one end to the other. Then I'll put the blade back on, and then we can make our cuts. Okay, so this is the maximum height for the cutting head. So this is about where it's going to pass through, okay, more or less. All right, now let's just move this along and see. It's definitely tightest on this side. Let's see if it's going to interfere anywhere. There's one little knob up here I'm worried about. Right in here. Boy, that's close. You know, maybe I'll just zip that off there just to be safe, in case I have to go down especially. I think everything else, there's lots of clearance. Yeah, I'm going to have to go down for sure. All right, well, I've got the log locked into position. I've slipped a 2x4 under one end to bring the center of the log up on the small end. Got a full tank of gas, check the oil. Everything seems to be okay. Put the blade back in. I'm going to keep going with the that blue flex that I did the other 20-footer with. It seems to be sharp still. I haven't seen any sign of it giving in. It's kind of a twofer. I'm both testing the blade and cutting two beautiful beams. If it doesn't look like it's going well for the final cuts, then I'll slip a new blade on maybe. But geez, this one seems to be okay so far. Yeah, so this is, like I say, kind of an ugly log when you look at it, but once you cut in a little bit, that's solid white oak. It's a bit of a stress on the saw, so I really don't want to have to cut this all that many times, so we'll try to keep that to a minimum. So this clearly is the widest portion of the log. Say take it down to about here. That's plenty, and that's actually going to give me closer to 8, so I could go a little bit above that, and that'll be the final cut. And then hopefully I'm going to get something kind of 8 inches, so 6 by 8 inches high, and that's pretty solid beam, man. All right, so here's the deal. This wood is quite dry, and rock hard. So actually, the quality of the cut's pretty good, really good. but it seems to be putting off a lot of heat. So I think just for the good of my saw, I'm going to put a brand new blade in and mark the other one as still being good, but maybe not good enough to cut through, 12-inch widths of rock hard white oak. That's asking a lot of it. So yeah, time to flip it. Can't do that with a log hook, gonna have to use a tractor. So all right, got her laid out the other way now. It gets a little wide down here. This thing is kind of boxy, so I don't have to clamp this at all. It's not going anywhere. So I'm just going to cut this, and when I get down here, I might have to shimmy it a little bit, maybe take the saw out, and as you saw, the chisel, and just make it work. This will be the worst cut, I think. Okay, it's the next day. I ran out of time and battery power yesterday, so I was able to get this thing positioned for its final two sides, final two cuts. It's just a beautiful piece of wood. Looks like we're going to get a 6-inch wide by 9-inch high piece out of it, which is I think more than enough. It's a 16-foot span, but this is solid white oak, and it's a sawmill shed, right? I can show you some 100-year-old barn structures that aren't this well made. Maybe it'll sag, maybe it won't, but I don't think it's ever gonna break. As always, I've gone to a lot of trouble to get the setup just right, perfectly square, so that it's a nice, pure beam. It's one of those things I just like to do. Probably doesn't matter, but it makes me feel better, and it's just good practice. Get it as best you can. So I think I'm ready to make a couple of cuts and finish this thing up. So there's quite a difference in thickness between the two ends, so I'm going to do a skim cut just because I don't want to get stuck on a high spot at the far end of this, and it'll give me a better idea of where the log will center up properly, if you follow me, to make the first and final cut. So yeah, let's get that underway. So that's another 5/4 by 9-inch wide by 20-foot piece that I can use somewhere, I'm sure. Never have too many 20-foot pieces, right? So there it is. That is a 6-inch by 9-inch white oak beam. Look at that, perfectly centered. Same at the other end. And that's not nominal, that's real 6 inches by real 9 inches. Beautiful, beautiful piece of wood. It's about 21 feet long. It'll get cut back down to 20, and then it will span 16 feet with 2 feet overhang on each end. good enough for me. It's a sawmill shed.
With those two brutes out of the way, I just have to cut my posts, 2 10s and 3 7s. Although I'll probably cut them a little bit long and then just trim them to the final length after I cut the tenons for the timber frame joints. These ones should be a breeze compared to the last two.
Okay, let's go over what we got here. So earlier I cut the two 20-foot beams at the beginning of this video. They're still over by the sawmill. I have them tarped up so that the sun doesn't crack them or anything like that. They're going to be gotten to in just a while. Here, of course, I have my posts, the two long ones, which will support the 9-foot front, and then 3 6-footers that will support the back. Now these are cut considerably long. One of them is 12 feet long instead of 9. The thinking there is that I can cut off some little pieces and I can experiment with mortise and tenoning, because I've never done it before. I've made up a small jig and in the process of making up a couple of little jigs to make this a little bit easier for me, but we're going to cover that in the next video. The other thing I should mention is I had a few pieces here that I did cut with the intention of making 6x6s, but once I got into them, either because they weren't straight or because they weren't quite big enough and they would have excessive wane on the edges, I just cut them to 6 inches thick, and I can use those sort of for future considerations. Maybe cut them into corner braces when I kind of finalize the size for those, and or whatever. There's going to be a lot of what I'm going to call supporting lumber required to get this whole thing nice and sturdy and set up properly. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will have more on this in the upcoming weeks. It's my project of the fall. Take care.